This is the Ecommerce Braintrust, a podcast about building momentum online for established consumer brands. Join our hosts and their expert guests for high-level conversations about e-commerce strategies, trends, and innovations. Access our Braintrust and boost your brand's e-commerce potential.
Welcome to the Ecommerce Braintrust podcast. I'm Julie Spear, head of retail marketplace services at Acadia. This episode is the second in a two-part series that will give you all the information you need to be ready for Prime Day. Last week's episode focused on the paid media strategy to support your Prime Day goals. So if you haven't given that a listen, I recommend you go back and check it out. This week, we'll dive into the operations, promotions, and organic tactics that you should be thinking about in the lead up to Prime Day. And for that, I'm joined by João Couceiro da Costa. He's an account manager for our retail team here at Acadia. Joao's been with us for a few years now and has experience preparing for Prime Day specific plans for dozens of brands. Prior to joining Acadia, he learned the Amazon ecosystem from the inside while working as a vendor manager in Amazon's European division. Internally, Joao's known as perhaps best for his creative reporting formats, including ones that mimic F1 race results, as well as the Spotify Wrapped playlist. Those happen to be my favorite. With that, welcome to the podcast, João.
Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure to be here.
It's great to have you. And before we get into the details of all things Prime Day and prep, I have to ask, have you already started planning what format you'll be sharing your Prime Day reporting results in a couple months?
Yeah, the bar is pretty high this year. I feel it. My clients have already started asking me for it. I'm keeping this one pretty close to the chest. I don't know, something about Roman Empire probably. Try to, do a bit of diversification here.
Interesting. I can't wait. I will be watching closely.
Let's see.
And speaking of watching closely and guessing games, trying to figure it all out, it's really always a guessing game until Amazon officially unveils the Prime Day dates. How do you feel about going on the record about when you think it'll be this year?
I actually think it's going to be a week later than the last couple of years. So I know that it's probably looking at the calendar, looking at last year, the 9th and the 10th of July seem like to be the obvious answers. I'm leaning towards 16 and 17 this year. The cutoff date for the inventory to be in the fulfillment centers, it's 6 days later than last year. The deals submission also later than last year. So I don't know. I kind of have a feeling that it's going to be a week later than last year as well, the actual Prime days.
I think those are pretty good indicators. And I want to say that way back when, in 2015, I want to say it was like July 14, 15. So I feel like that's going back to maybe its origin of when it was the first time around. I like what's informing your hypothesis there.
I don't know. It's Amazon is pretty set in its ways about the lead time that they need for things. And so maybe I'm going to look like a complete fool in a couple of months. But at the moment, that's my gut.
Nice. All right. So outside of it perhaps being a week later this year, are there things that feel different about Prime Day in 2024 in terms of what you're hearing from your clients, as well as you start to have conversations prepping for the big day?
Yeah, absolutely. The whole 24, it's looking a bit different from previous years, if I'm being totally honest. I don't feel big numbers in press anymore. So they're good to see. I don't feel clients are still looking to hit that top line revenue, big number to sort of as a vanity data point. They're really focused, or the conversations that I'm having are really focused on the profitability and sustainability of the account. So it's not just, let's discount for the sake of discount. It's just, let's make sure that whatever we're doing, it's sustainable, it's intentional, and above all, it's profitable. And so let's not dive too deep into our pockets, especially with the new fee change or the new fee changes, actually, that Amazon has been implementing throughout the last months. That's really hitting hard on especially sellers, I would say, seeing profitability drop on the ASIN level from 50% to around 38, 39. So the focus is, okay, let's do it, but let's not break the bank this time.
Yeah, that makes sense. I think any conversation I've been having recently with people on our team and with the brands that I'm talking to, profitability, it might be bumping out incrementality as the word of the year from what I'm hearing. So
yeah.
Something you mentioned that I thought is interesting is that Amazon seems more dialed into enforcing operational efficiency than we've seen play out before with all of those inventory related fees that are just coming online now. How are sellers supposed to optimize for those fees while also hedging against spiky demand for tentpole events like Prime Day?
Yeah, it's tricky, right? Almost mimicking what Amazon is doing on the more macro aspect. It's really tricky for sellers to adjust to these fee changes and still try to go all for temple event like Prime Days. But if you start to stretch out that promotional period, you'll start to see very interesting patterns appear and great results coming from it. So just extend those lead-in period and the lead out as well. This year, I'm actually suggesting do a 15-day leading period where we can start really strong 15 days ahead to try and get that BSR just really working for the seller, for the client, and then carry us all through the event. Amazon has been doing this as well. So we started off with Prime Days. Now we have Prime Big Deal Days. Now it's not only Black Friday. It's not even T5 anymore. It's almost T11. And now the spring sale. So Amazon is really zeroing in on trying to avoid those huge spikes during days and try to, wash down a bit more throughout the year. These promotional events, also for their own operational efficiency. Like we all know what happened in 2022, especially with Prime Days, where they've foreseen a demand that just wasn't there. And then fulfillment centers got really, really stuck in all their inventory. And so that's when a lot of subscribe and save ads were playing in between football games. I know I'm European, I'm Portuguese, but I do follow American sports. And all of a sudden, on the halftime of football games, subscribing tables all over the TV. And also when the manager or the capacity manager came into play also for the sellers, as well as the allocated capacity that was now in volume and you can buy more. So Amazon was really zeroing in on getting that efficiency on their own fulfillment centers just better and better. That helps when you kind of have more events throughout the year rather than just one or two. And also during those events, if you just stretch it out even more, that also helps with just having that inventory leaving the fulfillment centers at a much higher clip. And for sellers, it's just, not put all your chips onto just a couple of days where you just stock up hoping for a great couple of days. And for some reason, either demand is not there, like it happened a couple of years ago, or just competition is running riot and outbidding you left and right. And therefore, like you're getting stuck with a lot of aged inventory then on fulfillment centers, and you'll have to pay a price for it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, I think you make a great point in terms of how Amazon is really shifting to lengthier seasonal periods over the past couple of years. We're definitely seeing it, like you said. What's your take on how consumers are responding to this? It wasn't long ago that Prime Day was the only Amazon-specific shopping event, and it was just a single day. So how do you think the consumer is adapting to these lengthier sales periods?
I think we can look at it through two very different dimensions. Like one, it's really convenient for customers to have that sort of possibility to have promotional prices and promotional periods throughout the year instead of just having to wait 6 months, sometimes even a year for these tentpole events. But on the other hand, it can be quite exhausting. To stay competitive, we are bombarding customers with all these promotional periods, and it's like you get out of one and you're immediately getting into another promotional period with little to no break in between them. And so that kind of keeps almost the machine going, but it can be quite tiresome and for consumers and sellers alike. So we always need to be on full alert to be able to see what Amazon is doing. For example, this spring sale was something that Amazon was trying to keep pretty close to the chest. And I have some of my clients that were reached out directly from by Amazon saying, oh, look, we're going to do this by the end of March. Other sellers or vendors did not have that notification. We all need to be high alert to make sure that once those events appear pretty much out of nowhere, we're able to stay competitive in that space as well. For the consumers, again, it can be quite good because better opportunities throughout the year and more often. On the other hand, it's like another one and it's almost overwhelming, all of these promotional events. But on the tentpole events, even though Amazon is washing them down throughout the year, the Prime events are still the crown jewel of Amazon. Even both Prime Days across my portfolio of clients this year, both Prime events, so the Prime Days and the Prime Big Deal Days in October, both of those weeks were better weeks, were higher in terms of total revenue across my portfolio than Turkey 11 or Turkey 5. So yeah, Prime Days is still Prime Days, or Prime Events, it's still a Prime event.
Yeah, so even if the consumer is feeling a little fatigued, the spikes that we see on those Prime Day events, whether it's in July or the Bastille Days or whatever we're really calling it in October, the spikes that we see in sales indicate that even with the fatigue, consumers are taking advantage. They're still responding to it. Maybe there's just a little bit less urgency than when it was shorter periods of time and only one other event.
Yeah, absolutely. Consumers are still taking advantage of it. But I think now with almost a reassurance of like, if I miss out on this one in a month or in a couple of months, I'll have another crack at it. And maybe this is not the right time for me to purchase. Maybe in 2 months, I'll be in a more comfortable position to make this purchase. And yeah, the opportunities are there.
Yes, absolutely. And maybe a little relief from the urgency is not a bad thing from the consumer perspective.
Yeah.
So I'm picking up on some themes here. There's really a need to be operationally efficient. Brands are definitely feeling the squeeze and need to maintain profitability, despite also needing to drive volume. And Prime Day is still incredibly important. It's not the crazy 24-hour thing from years past. Given all of that, what are you doing more of this year or differently this year than in past years in terms of how you're approaching Prime Day with your clients?
So apart from the extended lead-in period, there's a bigger focus on retention, on actually subscription-based promotions, and even the communications for the event will be very focused on just, we don't want that one-time sale. Of course we want it, but we'd like to extend it to an active subscription. I know that there are kind of mixed feelings out there regarding subscribe and save. I personally believe, and I know, Julie, that you're probably tired of hearing me say this.
I'm a believer. Preach.
I strongly believe that it's the best program that Amazon offers to sellers and vendors alike. It's transformative for accounts. I've seen accounts that were struggling, and with the right push on the subscribe and save front, with the right communication, the PDP storefront, even brand story towards that subscription-based order, the account saw transformative growth. It's not even in the same realm as it was before, and it's accounts plural. So it's not just one example. Like, this is a pattern. I've never seen an account with a healthy, intentional strategy around subscribe and save that was underperforming or not growing 30, 40, 50% year over year. So this is also a major focus for this Prime Day on my book of clients, which is take advantage of the lead-in period and especially the lead-out. So where we're not pushing for that one-time only sale. During Prime Days, we need to stay competitive, and you cannot be naive enough to think that a subscribe and save coupon will cut it during Prime Days with all the craziness that's going on in terms of promotions. But during that lead-in period and lead-out, there is those opportunities there to really capitalize on a sale that will pay dividends throughout its lifetime. So the focus, and this ties in with everything that I've been saying, so profitability-wise, operation-wise, this is the focus on subscribe and save. It's really, really a big focus this year, and something that throughout the years, not necessarily a heavier, so it wasn't necessarily a focal point of this offense, but 2024, it's really starting to take center stage on all promotional activities that we run.
I love this. You're making a great point, because we usually think of Prime Day or other big sales days as ways to reach new customers with promotions. But you're also trying to do so on a day when everyone else is competing for the same set of customers and offering their best promotions and bidding aggressively. But you're saying that Prime Day can be just as much a way to convert lower funnel customers that are already familiar with your brand and re-engage them so they become subscribers that re-enter the fold of your brand's customer base. I love this.
Yeah, absolutely. So subscription is especially powerful on accounts or on brands that have consumable goods with replenishable selection. And if you have those and you can combine the tools that you have at your disposal, be it AMC, DSP, as I know Dusan was talking about on the previous episode, you can really narrow down that list of the target audience, lower funnel portion of your funnel, to really target them to convert them into a long-standing relationship with the brand via subscription, in this case, of course. But 1,000%, this is something that all vendors, sellers should be focused on. They should be aware of these capabilities and really go for it and be very strategic about everything that you're doing during this event. The reason why we are trying to extend this lead-up period and really putting a bit of an emphasis, when I say emphasis, I say increase a bit of percentage off during the first days, So 15 days up until 10 days before the event is to try and increase that bestseller rank, increase the organic presence so that once the event arrives, we are in a better organic position to take advantage of all opportunities that come our way.
Well, so you're hitting on there the need to increase your organic position. That could be a good segue into what are some of the key Prime Day prep activities that you're focused on with your clients right now that might not be novel and tied to what's new in 2024, but they're really just important foundational tactics for readiness. What do those look like for you?
Yeah, I think every year a Prime Day event goes by, we learn a bit more. I think we are a bit better the following year. This year, we are going as granular as we can. So, of course, when you have long-standing relationships with a client or you're working with a client for a long time, or if you are a brand owner for a long time, you know exactly what makes your account tick, what makes your products move in one direction or the other. And so going a bit more granular into your approach to a tentpole event like this one, understanding that not all ASINs are created equal and they need different things and they are in different positions and in different places on their life. And treat them exactly like that. So not wishing they were something that they're not and just discounting for the sake of discounting, just completely buy into your profitability on those ASINs as well. This is one thing that this year, it's not novel, but I think it's a bit more evolved, I would say. It's the tiering of the catalogs of my clients. It can be, and all clients are different and they have a different philosophy behind it. So I have certain type of clients where subscribing is really the focus this year. And so we are trying to optimize the whole strategy around subscribe and save revenue penetration and the number of subscriptions that we're gaining / losing throughout the year, what's happening / what's not happening, and dividing the catalog, tiering the catalog into a position where we can do the right promotion, do the right input to the right ASINs. And so going really, really in depth on all of this. On the more macro aspect of the account, I'll say if you're not working on the temporary store for the event, you're missing out. If you're not updating your A+ content or your brand story for the event, then you're missing out. So just feeding all those new goodness to the algorithm just puts you in a better position. Keeping that algorithm fresh. I know we always talk about the algorithm as sort of a mighty force, but it is. So just keep feeding it new things. And for these particular events, try to really zero in on converting and making sure that all your right products are in all the right styles, especially in the brand story, to really try and once a customer enters one of your PDPs, you can kind of keep them in your, let's call it, ecosystem by creating the bridges necessary to bring them from one product to the product that you really want to convert.
Absolutely. I think the foundation is that healthy organic presence with a well-optimized PDP and storefront. Otherwise, you're investing all this money to drive traffic, all this money for coupons and other discounts and promos, and you're hindering the efficiency of it if you're not fully optimized. So
yeah, absolutely.
I agree. All right. I've got one more topic for you. We always think as Prime Day as like an Amazon phenomenon, but in recent years, we've seen other retailers roll out similar events as counter programming to Amazon with Walmart and Target and Best Buy, all of them. Is this something that's heavily on the radar for your clients? And how are they participating in these events or not?
Yeah, so it is not necessarily Amazon only a couple of days, but nobody does it better than Amazon, if this makes sense. During those events, it's Prime Days. Other brands can play around with the names and call it different things. We all know it's still Prime Day. They're all kind of following suit to what Amazon is doing. Even here in Portugal, like we don't have Amazon.pt, which is a Portuguese web link, but we do have it in Spain. And even Portuguese e-commerce platforms are doing like the hot days and just days during Amazon because they know customers will flock to Amazon during those days. As for my book of clients, Prime Days is Prime Days. It's on Amazon. Of course, there are other channels, other activities going, but this is the place to be during those couple of days.
Amazon, the place to be.
Yeah.
Well, I've learned a lot today, and it seems like Prime Day success is as simple as getting your inventory coverage just right, balancing your promotions so they maintain profitability, optimizing your storefront entirely, and controlling your prices across all channels. Simple, right?
Very simple.
Absolutely nothing to it. Well, I'm really grateful that we have you to walk us through all of this. And I'm sure your clients are appreciative of all the planning that goes into this each year as well. I can't wait to see how you package your reporting.
Yep, I see it.
Be on the lookout for that. So thank you for your time today, and best of luck through the rest of the prep for Prime Day and then for the lead out from the big event as well.
Well, thank you so much, Julie. Thank you for having me.